Good morning. Oh, sorry about that, Larry. A little stout over here. Hey, it is time to start. Great. Got a little tone over there. Good morning and welcome to the Kannapolis Church of Christ Bible class. Those that are online, we're glad you're with us. And we're especially glad everybody's here in the auditorium. We are having our Singspiration weekend this weekend. Larry Arnold, the worship minister with the Spring Meadows Church of Christ, is with us this morning. Larry's done a tremendous job all weekend. One of the things I didn't share earlier, Larry's also a commercial pilot, so he literally had that moment where he flew in and his arms were tired. That was he is getting ready to fly back this afternoon and shared a lot of exciting stories about that. We've had a great weekend in learning new songs. We're going to be singing a lot this morning at worship during Bible class. Larry's going to challenge us and take us down a path of looking at what we need to do to really engage ourselves more in our worship service. It's been such a privilege meeting him and getting to know him, and I know you're going to give him your full attention this morning. Larry?
Good morning, everybody. I have had such a great time here this weekend, and I want to thank you for being such a part of that, for making me feel welcome, for being engaged in all that we've done. Friday night we had an area-wide singing, had most of Kannapolis here, I think, and many people from local congregations and several people from even 2 hours away, 45 minutes away, an hour away. Different people tell me different distances, and it was really, really encouraging for people to value worship to God through singing enough to make travel like that, and then for them to honor Kannapolis by coming here. That's special. So that says a lot about you. And then the singing Friday night was just tremendous. Good acoustic building with enough people in here that have a passion for singing. It's hard to beat that combination. Leaders did very well. They picked great songs that people love, and we just had a great time. Yesterday, we spent from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock with a little bit of lunch break, just reviewing things primarily. I don't make any promise that I'm going to bring anything new to you. I don't plan to do that. If it is, well, I hope it blesses you. But most of this stuff is things that you've been taught most of your life, likely. But maybe we put a little twist to it, and it triggers something that says, hey, I haven't thought about it that way. And hey, yeah, maybe the passion needs to be ramped up more. And so we spent yesterday morning doing this part of the seminar. This isn't a lecture. I don't want it to be a lecture. I would love to be able to ask questions of you and have feedback. And yesterday in our 10 o'clock session, we had lots of feedback, and it was really, really neat. It helps me. It helps me learn. It helps me have new ideas about what I can do in the future to better serve congregations like this. So even this morning, I would encourage feedback and for us to give ideas. We're going to go over some of those things, not everything. But at the same time, if there's something, even if you were here yesterday, if there's something that you want to review, if there's something you have a question about, then speak up and we'll spend some time talking about it. And then in the session yesterday afternoon, we did learn some new songs, and it was really fun. Bringing up a song and asking how many people know it, and there might be 5 on this one and 7 on this one, and then us going through the song. And the way we went through new songs is we look at the message of the song first. Let's learn what the song is about. Let's learn what our message is going to be, and be able to adapt that into our hearts. And then we'll spend the time with the music, because the message is always more important than the music. Something I actually didn't go over yesterday that just popped into my brain in that thought. 2 questions that each of us should ask ourselves when a song is put before us. The very first question is, to whom am I singing? To whom am I communicating? That's important to know. And we're going to make a correlation, we did yesterday and we're going to do it today, about how our communication outside of worship should be brought into worship as well. Somehow, because of tradition, because of feeling reserved or even restrained, we seem to have a different personality inside worship than we do outside worship. Our personality should be the same. We should always be reverent, no question about that, but we should also understand reverent doesn't mean a funeral service, okay? There's a different definition for reverence. But our communication should always be the same. So if we're excited about something, let's show it. Let's show it in our faces. So the first question is, when you see a song put before you, to whom are you communicating? Is it a song of worship directly to God? Put that in your mind. Is it a song of encouragement that is horizontal in nature, one to each other? Put that in your mind. Sometimes some songs are written to where it's a combination of things. Some songs can be songs that are actually meant for you. They're introspective in nature. Put that in your mind. And again, even those songs can be a combination, both encouraging to the one next to you, but also introspective to yourself. To whom are you communicating? That's your first question when the song is put before you. Hopefully, those that are leading you in worship will also be helping you in that way and giving you kind of a roadmap. Hey, this is where we are going in our worship service. Be thinking about this. And for example, even this morning, I'm going to say this again when worship starts, we're going to start our morning with songs of worship because our primary purpose for being here this morning is worship. So let's start with songs of worship to God to begin with. To whom are we communicating? God Almighty. Then the second question you should ask after asking to whom are we communicating is, what is the tone of the message? Is it one of excitement? Is it one of joy? Is it one that you just almost can't help but smile while you're singing it? Is it one that is more solemn in nature? What is the tone of the message? And set your spirit toward that tone. To whom are you communicating? And what is the tone of the message that you're about to sing? It's really no different than when outside of worship you're communicating with family or friends. If you're excited about that grandchild, as almost all of you are, I'm sure, you've got a smile on your face. You've got a twinkle in your eye. And if you're talking about a recent visit to a hospital, it's probably a little different. So think about the tone. So let's go through a few slides here. And we've kind of already jump-started this a little bit. Our purpose today for this class is a little bit like this. There's two: to consider thoughts, actions, and practices that will improve our abilities to worship. And again, we want this to be a communicative class, so your feedback is important. Number two, to converse, just like I was talking about, to converse and share ideas, seeking to improve our abilities and to encourage each other toward better worship to God and encouragement of His people. Hopefully, you came here for really kind of three purposes. You've come here today, number one, to worship God. And then the next two, depending on the week, depending on the Sunday, can kind of be flip-flopped. You've come here this morning and you might be on top of the world. It's a beautiful morning. You slept well. You got up out of the right side of the bed. Your breakfast was perfect. The travel here, no problems. You hit a green light at every intersection. You're on top of the world. And your number two objective this morning then should be to encourage those around you, to build up those around you. And one way to do that is through our song service. And then your third objective, even still, would be to receive encouragement from others. And then those 2 and 3 can be flip-flopped, because there are some here this morning, likely, who maybe have just gotten off their overnight job and they're tired. They didn't sleep well if they slept at all. Breakfast either didn't happen or the toast was burnt beyond recognition, right? Traffic was so bad, and then on top of that, we had a flat tire on the way. I mean, you can imagine anything that could seemingly make your morning worse, but yet you're here. And in that case, I can envision your second objective is then to receive encouragement. So that then your third objective would be to encourage. That's our three goals for being here this morning: to worship, then either to encourage second and receive encouragement, or to receive encouragement and encourage each other. Don't underestimate those three things. Always have those things in your mind. To improve our abilities and to encourage each other toward better worship to God and encouragement of His people. So now some basic questions. And this is where I'd like some feedback. We got some of this yesterday, but we got some here today. We weren't here yesterday, and I'd love to hear from you. Whatever comes to mind. What sometimes, and we'll cast it this way, sometimes when you visited other places, right? What are some hindrances to worship that have been a problem? What has, when you've gone somewhere to worship, what are some things that have gotten in the way? Anybody?
When the minister is getting towards the end of his lesson, and people know that, oh, it's almost over, and they're ruffling through all their stuff, they're packing all their stuff up, they're throwing their books and all in a bag, and they're just moving around, they're getting ready, they're putting their book purses in their arms, and their bags on their arms, ready to go. And that is one thing that distracts me.
The anticipation of lunch.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that. Did everybody hear her comment there? It's basically before service is over, and even before the sermon is over, the minister has some standard cue words, if you will, that let you know, hey, it's about lunchtime. And so I've got to get home and make sure that the roast is where it should be, or we got to get there in line first at that particular restaurant. So it's grabbing the notes and the paperwork and putting it into the Bible and grabbing the purse and putting the coats on and all that. That's an excellent comment because it happens a lot. And, we think, we're still listening and I'm still listening while I'm doing this, but have we thought about, well, am I being a distraction to others? That's interesting. That didn't come up yesterday. What are hindrances to worship? Have I ever been a hindrance to worship? Have I ever been a distraction to worship? That's an excellent question. Anybody else? What else is good?
I shared this with you yesterday, being at a church elsewhere by myself, and nobody was friendly, and that was daunting going in.
Right.
But then feeling like I was on an island because nobody was singing, and I'm not used to that because we love to sing.
Right. Right.
And so it changed. I started out normal, and I changed.
Right.
And kept trying to look for a friendly thing. These are brothers and sisters. And I just ended up walking to the car. I don't know that anybody said. I tried to say hi, and that hurt.
It did, sure. And you shared a little bit more that I want to expand on
A little bit that's really very important even to this. She talked about visiting somewhere else, and it happened to be in the Atlanta area. And when she got there and entered the place, there was really not a a friendly greeting given. And so at that point, she doesn't even feel welcome. And she comes in and looks around, and there's several hundred people there, but they're scattered around. And this wasn't in a time of the virus, but they're scattered around almost like they're not even friendly with each other. And so it's not like she can find a place that, sit in a group and meet people. And think about how important that is. In the worship service, what if you're scattered to the point that even in the singing, you really don't feel like you're hearing anybody else. I shared a story yesterday about I was invited to a gospel meeting, and kind of a longer story to this, but the building sat a little above 400 people. But because of various problems that had happened, there were only about 40 people there that morning. And the auditorium was arranged that there were actually 4 sections of pews. And these 40 people were just immensely scattered among 400 seats. And it was, I think I made the comment, it was almost like they had their own zip codes where they were. And from a song leader's point of view, and I would think from a minister's point of view, that is a hindrance to our worship because it just looks like it's not even a family. And then you don't get a sense of the singing because everybody's just scattered. And then when you go back and look at the effect that can have on visitors, we made this comment yesterday. People are seeking truth in worship. People are seeking truth in worship. And part of that truth comes from the feedback they get from you. If they walk into a service and they hear your singing and they see you singing, does your face reflect the excitement and the joy of your worship? And so in her situation, she comes in, she's not greeted much at all upon entrance, she's not made to feel welcome. The congregation is scattered around the building, so it's like they're not even friendly with each other. The singing, therefore, is not uplifting, so she doesn't feel like she can encourage people, and she's not feeling encouraged by that either. And then she leaves, and pretty much nobody says, thanks for being here, or don't come back. They don't say anything to her. That's a major hindrance of worship. I already know that's not the situation here. I've lived it this weekend. But I always want us to keep that in mind. We're here to worship God, to encourage each other, to receive encouragement from each other, but don't forget your guests. Don't forget the effect you can have on them. I have 2 daughters, and one of the things that my wife and I have stressed to them from the time they could understand things, you are an influence. Every one of you are an influence. Every day, you're an influence. You have a decision as to whether you're going to be a good influence or not. There's no middle. And the same is true here. You are an influence. You're an influence on each other as brothers and sisters. You're an influence on the guest that comes in. You have a decision as to whether you're going to be a good influence to everybody. Anybody else? I saw a hand over here. Yes, sir.
Prepared when you come in for service. A lot of times we come in and we're worried about the traffic is bad, like you're talking about, or something's going on in the family, or maybe you and your spouse have had an argument the night before. And it's really tough to come in and have your mind concentrate on learning about God and the service or the singing or anything at that time, because you're not really prepared at that time to listen to what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So, his comment for those who didn't hear, not being prepared to worship, and in the context you were talking about it, that's a self-hindrance to worship. You haven't prepared yourself, and that's a big deal. So yes, think about all the distractions. I mean, you got up this morning, you knew what today was. Hopefully you've been looking forward to it since last Sunday. But have you prepared for worship this morning? Did you wake up this morning and read a passage of Scripture? Did you wake up this morning and say a prayer outside of your thankfulness for the breakfast you made? Did you
Try to override your mind from the distractions of traffic coming in, or even from things that may have not been positive in nature, and say, you know what, that happened, I'm going to set it aside, I've got to get my mind right. But then let's take it to the other direction. What about those who are leading in worship if they're not prepared? And one thing about the song service, and even with preaching now, and even sometimes with those presiding the Lord's Supper or even the collection, PowerPoint and the ability to put things on the screen has actually made it more incumbent, put a new requirement on those leading in worship to be prepared. Before PowerPoint came about, how many times and how many different places did you walk in at like 5 minutes to 10 o'clock worship, and the song leader is on the front row doing this? How many have seen that? Everybody, right? Everybody. Now, sometimes it may not have been his fault. Sometimes a minute before you walked in, an elder walked up to that guy and said, hey, Johnny's not here, and he'd you to lead singing. We'll give some grace there. But often that's not the case. He knew from the previous Sunday he was going to be leading singing. In another seminar that I teach, specifically to song leaders and worship leaders, I use this analogy. I call it the gas and milk song service. The gas and milk song service. And it basically goes like this. And for example, we'll use the current season. So, but it can be, just think about the song leader who's a big sports fan, and his favorite team is playing in a tournament or a very important game, but they happen to be playing on the West Coast, which means that he's staying up late Saturday night to watch it here. And he's been looking forward to this game, and he's got this game in mind, and then it goes into overtime, and he's staying up even later. And Sunday morning just evaporates out of his mind. His team wins, he's all excited, he goes to bed. He gets up in the morning, he's going through the motions, he's checking boxes, still actually excited about the game last night. Gets in the car with his wife, starts toward church. Then all of a sudden, oh man, I had the song book next to me. I was going to be picking out songs during the game, and I forgot to pick out songs. Honey, get a pen and piece of paper. Let's see, gas is $3.23, write down $23.29 or whatever the number is. Milk is this price, write down that price. He's just looking at numbers. Grab me numbers. I just need numbers. And then you get to worship, and there's no flow in the song service. There's no theme in the song service. And yesterday we equated how we would really like to see a theme in our song service, just like we expect a theme from our minister. We tried to equate the role of the song leader and the role of the minister and draw parallels. And what we expect from our preacher and what we expect from his sermon not only should be what we expect from our song leader and the song service, but to a degree we should also have some expectations about ourselves. We expect our minister to be prepared. We expect our song leader to be prepared. We should expect ourselves to be prepared. We expect our minister to be passionate about that which he has prepared. Agreed? We should expect our song leader to be passionate about that which he puts before us. Instead of something like, I'm happy today, oh yes, I'm happy today. What did you think about that? Did you see any truth in that? Did visitors see any truth in that? The spirit of the song service, little case s, the spirit of the song service begins up there, right? It doesn't begin out here. You're looking up here to see the spark, to see the encouragement that then comes out here. But we should still be expecting ourselves to be passionate in our worship service, just like that. So Lack of preparation leads into all of that. What are our hindrances of adequately leading worship? We just kind of went over that. Lack of preparation, lack of understanding, lack of there's another word for it, a lack of spirit, for example, lack of passion, I guess that's what I was looking for. Those are hindrances of adequately leading worship. But at the same time, there's a bunch of faces out here. And some of those faces, if they're stone faces, if someone's not singing, those can be a hindrance of worship. Whether it's a song leader or Kirk preaching, we're looking for feedback from you, and it doesn't always have to be verbal feedback. It can be just tacit feedback to where we're saying, are they engaged? If I'm seeing somebody, if I see somebody that's not singing, I wonder, well, is there something wrong with this song? You know, am I singing it differently than it should be sung? It makes me wonder. It distracts me. And most of the time, I just have to move away and try to get back into it. There's plenty of distractions that hinder the ability for us to worship when we're leading you. So how do you overcome that? Well, you engage yourselves. You sing. You seem to be engaged. I'm sure Kirk would love to see everybody taking notes. You know, make it look like the effort he's putting into it, that we are putting into it, is being received well. Anybody else on either one of those two notes? Hindrances to worship, hindrances to leading worship. We can get really simple on some things. It's too cold in the building sometimes. It distracts from worship, right? It's too hot. We talked about the parade between two people fighting over the thermostat. Sometimes I've been in places where it's so dim. What are some other things? Anything? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I just want to say that I've kind of been spoiled having been a member here for decades and then moving away, that everybody doesn't seem like an outlet. So for us, Gary and I, it's hard to go to a congregation that doesn't sing.
Oh, it is.
Or sing poorly.
Right.
And recently, my family was here, and you know, you kind of get your spot. Let's say everybody has their spot, and so we haven't really found one yet. We're just moving around. But my family was here and happened to sit in front of someone who was very loud. It was very distracting for them. And I didn't notice it because I was further away from it, but that was the talk later. I couldn't concentrate, I couldn't think, I couldn't. And I thought, I can see how that can be distracted, but I was thinking, and I think I said that, but who was worshiping with you? Really was worshiping.
Right.
You were distracted with this fellow singing from his heart.
That's right.
So, you know.
Yeah, and with that, you know, what are hindrances?
And with that comes the next question: how do you overcome that? And a similar comment was made yesterday. It wasn't so much that, well, somebody singing so loud actually distracted me. That's not what you said, but it distracted somebody. Somebody else said, well, somebody singing off key distracts me. Well, we are all granted different gifts, and some of us can sing in 4-part harmony, and some of us have to sing in 5-part harmony, okay? But like she said, everybody singing is singing from their heart. And we dare not turn around and say, sing softer. Or we dare not turn around and say, hey, you need voice lessons. Not even close. That's kind of where we have to accept our own fallibility there. That's how God made us, and we get distracted. The key is, how do you overcome it? How do you get back into the service? And it may be something as simple as just very gently moving away. If it's something you can't overcome, move. I heard one, and I said this yesterday, I heard one person say years and years ago, if it is actually about that. It wasn't about off key. It said, if they're singing too loud, then join them. Because they're singing from their heart. Just join them. And then other people may join in as well, But yes, going somewhere, especially to use your word respectfully, when you've been spoiled at some place like Kannapolis, where you feel welcome, where the tone here is warm, where the worship encourages you, where the singing is good, and then you go visit somewhere and they are not so blessed, that can be a distraction. But encourage them. Encourage them. Anybody else? All right, things to consider. All right, we actually jumped ahead of this, but our expectations of pulpit ministers in their sermons compared to our expectations of song leaders and the song service, and then even ourselves. Anybody have any comments about that? Not? Anybody disagree with that? Yes, sir.
I think unless you've been up there, you don't really understand what it takes to be up there, looking back at people. And sometimes you look out and, like you said, there's nobody, everybody's looking down at their songbook, and it's not easy to lead singing and preach. And sometimes I think people think it's, well, that's not hard to do. It really is hard to do.
That's a good comment.
And we talked a little bit about this yesterday, and I want to expand on it a little bit. As with several things in life, there are one can easily go through the motions. One can easily go through the motions. Now, it has been said throughout the years that one of the hardest things to be done by most anybody is public speaking. And so it's not for everybody. And most people say, I just couldn't do that. I like to jokingly say that that's actually a little bit incorrect. I think the hardest thing for most people to do is get up there and sing. Getting up there and speaking is one thing. Getting up there and singing into a microphone is really not any fun. And we made the comment, I don't want to do solos. Most song leaders don't want to do solos. The ones that do, you want to stay away from. But that is especially true. You get up there and you're putting forth the effort. Now, you can get up there and just go through the motions. But if you're doing the job adequately and you're passionately putting yourself into it, if you're emotionally invested into it, you're looking for the return because it helps you continue to do it. I've been places where I can think of one place in particular. I can think of several places actually, but the one that stands out to me, it was about a 1,500 seat auditorium. It looked like a cathedral. They had about 750 there that morning. And because of the way the place was built, from behind the lectern that I really don't like standing behind, I couldn't hear anybody. And so that's a distraction to me. It's a hindrance. How do you overcome it? I got down, I came off the stage, and I stood right in front of the front row here, in front of 750 people in a 1,200, whatever it was, seat auditorium. And I could hear about these right here. That was it. The acoustics were so bad in that auditorium that that's all I could hear. A major hindrance, a major distraction to me, because I'm passionately involved in it, and I expect it back. So yes, it takes a lot to do it. Which, by the way, encourage those who get up there. Now, you don't have to tell them lies or anything, but encourage them. When I started leading singing, the first time I led a Sunday morning service, I was 15 years old. And back then, there was a tradition that at the end of the service, the minister and the song leader and an elder or two were standing at the back door greeting everybody as they're leaving. And so I was filling my spot back there beside the minister and the elder. And these sweet ladies were coming by. Oh, Larry, that was great. You did such a good job. One right after another. And I'm, yeah, that's me, yeah. And then my dad comes by. And he says, son, these little ladies mean the best, but they are lying to you. He says, you listen to me. I'll tell you when you do a good job. Never forgotten that. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
They were encouraging with their whole heart, without question. Yes, sir, Brett.
I mentioned this yesterday, but it's something that's a passion of mine. And that is, kids are not a distraction. And
Kids are not a distraction, absolutely not.
when kids start making noise, if we all turn to look at them and all that, that young parent will start feeling that pressure on them that they do not need. We need to stay focused on the worship. And I'm thankful for the parents who bring their little ones that make noises and play with cars or do whatever, because they're bringing them.
Right.
And I'm very happy about that. And we need to encourage them to keep coming.
Absolutely.
So let me rephrase that just a bit, because I want to go back and always be honest about what we're talking about. We are fallible. That's how we're made. We get distracted by too many things every day. How many times at the end of the day do you get there and think, man, I didn't accomplish what I wanted? And you look back, well, it's because that phone call happened, and then I opened the mail. I should have never opened the mail. And we get distracted by things. And to be frank, yes, sometimes a baby crying out will be a potential source of distraction. It's incumbent upon us to get over that, to accept the positiveness of that baby being there, of that mother and that parent being there, and turn what could be a distraction into actually a moment of thanksgiving. And then, like Brett said, also be an encouragement to that parent and even to the child. I saw the neatest thing the other day. It was this past Monday morning. The minister at the congregation at which I serve, his name is Chuck. He's been there about 8 months now. He and our youth minister, Jerry Elder, who is 62 years old, has been a minister for 40. He was Shem, Ham, and Japheth's youth minister, okay? He is an awesome, awesome guy, and Chuck is as well. Our children's director, Angie, was there. Our secretary, Tanya, was there. Our college minister, Brandon, was there. Our former minister, Dale, was there, and I was there. And we were meeting at a little coffee shop that we, at least they, and I try to join as much as I can, on Monday mornings, we have this little meeting, and part of it is review of the previous day and the previous week, and we look at visitors, and we look at people who've missed, 2 or 3 times recently. And we look at plans. What can we do better? What can we do next week? What's coming up? What events are coming up? And so we're sitting here in this little coffee shop. There's 6 people, I think, if I counted right, around actually a 4-person table, because the rest were taken. And a young mother comes in with a child that was actually 1 year old that day. And that child is just, he's got energy beyond belief. And the mother's got her coffee and she's trying to do what she needs to do. And yet she's also has this infant that's, she needs to take care of it, and she's struggling. And Chuck gets up and goes over and introduces himself and making faces at the baby, and basically says, hey, I know I'm brand new to you, but I'm sitting right here, and let me entertain your child while you take care of yourself for a few moments. That's ministry. As hard as that was to do there, how much easier is something like that to do here? So when you see the mother with a child that has excessive energy at the moment, hey, be the adopted grandparent, be the adopted mother for the moment and go help. Or when that parent comes in and there's 2 or 3 children she's trying to lasso, be that source of encouragement. Yes, ma'am.
My daughter, she's 23 now. She was a toddler, and Sam's may not remember this, but once upon a time in the other sanctuary that's now evidently Sunday school classrooms, we had pews, and I was so focused, my husband and I were so focused on Kirk's message. Sarah got away. She crawled under the pews all the way to the front row, grabbed Pam's pocketbook, and dumped it out. And when I heard all the rattling, I looked over and realized it was my daughter. It was mine. And so I almost jumped up in front of the pulpit. Kurt said, Kimberly, it's okay. Sam's got it. But that's the kind of community we've always had here.
That's ministry. That's it.
And so she sat with Sarah, and Sarah was very calm and patient, and Kurt kept preaching. But from the pulpit, he said, kill her, Sam's got it. It's okay. Because I had a spoon in my pocketbook. I was prepared for this moment, and he knew this. And so he spared her the spoon. But I was able to relax.
What family spirit that represents. That's awesome. What are the purposes and responsibilities of our worship? This worship and song. This goes back to scripture that you've heard most of your life. But just emphasizing a few words or phrases. Speaking to one another. Don't lose that phrase. Speaking to one another. It's not about just lofting words into the air. It's not about checking a box. Again, we're trying to bring the communication that we so enjoy and are so good at outside of worship and actually bring it into our worship. The same spirit, the same tone, the same energy, the same sympathy or empathy sometimes. Bring it into our worship. Speaking to one another in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. Singing. Even if you feel like you don't have a voice, at least remember you're making an impression on somebody. You are an example. Be a good one. Even if you can't sing, whether it's because of the messages of the song, because of a memory it comes about, because you don't know the song, because you have a sore throat, whatever it is, lip sync. Lip sync it. Because one, it's focusing your mind on the message of the song to do that. And two, remember, you're making an impression, especially on young ones. If they're looking around and this one's singing and this one's singing and this one's not, and he also happens to be the one that hands out candy, what impression is being made there? Show people how important singing is, whether you can do it at the moment or not. I think I skipped that, didn't I? Singing, making melody in your heart, be passionate about it, and then remember it's all to the Lord. Second one, this one you know, almost parallel. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom. We talked about speaking to one another. This one says teaching and admonishing one another. So it's more again than just throwing words up into the air. It's more, again, than just having casual conversation. No, it involves specific purpose in teaching and admonishing. Singing again, with grace in your hearts, brings about the Spirit again. It brings about being passionate about it and to the Lord. And then we kind of sum it all. We talked about speaking to one another. We talked about singing or teaching and admonishing one another, singing and making melody with grace to the Lord. It's about communication. Communication outside of worship, brought into worship. All of us in our lives to those around us, every day, job, school, home, restaurants, and most certainly in the seats in which we sit this morning, are ministers. Kirk is not the only minister in this congregation. The members here are ministers. And in that vein, we go back. You're making an impression. You are an example. You are a minister. You have the decision to make if you're going to be good in those three roles. But you're teaching one another, you're admonishing one another, and you're speaking to one another as ministers, as priests under the great high priest. One more. I will pray with the Spirit. I will pray with the understanding also. I will sing with the Spirit, and I will sing with the understanding also. Know the message. Brother Tom Holland had this saying years and years ago, impression precedes expression. In order to adequately express a message, you have to be adequately impressed with it. You can go through the motions, but if you sincerely want to express a message, you have to fully understand it. So, we're not going to go through these here. These are just words that come up in songs, and you wonder, okay, did you really understand what you were singing at the time? So, these are the major concepts here. The message is always more important than the music. We love beautiful music, but the messages of our songs is always more important than being nitpicky about what note is sung or how long the note is held or anything like that. And then remember, it's more than just lofting words, it's communicating. So I hope this morning and from now on, I hope that you'll take these messages into your heart and that you'll put a new passion into your singing, even above as good as it's been. But remember, worship by definition is emotional. It's about expressing love to God. Love is an emotion. It's okay to be emotional in our services. We're not talking about emotionalism, but we are intended to be emotional in our service. And if we really immerse ourselves in the messages of these songs, that song yesterday, how can I stop from singing your praise? Okay? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll close here and start worship in about 13 minutes.